recommendations myself. I can provide a little bit of guidance as to what council's direction might be, but it's my job is just to facilitate the conversation between the LTAC committee members. The LTAC committee members made their recommendations, which you can see on the right-hand side. They made recommendations for everybody to receive some sort of funding, a small bit of funding, or a little bit closer toward their goal of funding. And we had $433,500 allocated, as opposed to the over 1 million requested. So not everybody can get everything they wanted, but that's how the cookie crumbles, so they say. Next slide. So the continued funding opportunities are for two organizations, Kitsap Conference Center and Admiral Theater Foundation. Next. That's the last one. So, and this is in our agenda bill, just to give you a little bit of history. The interviews for the applicants were held December 12, 2024 and January 10, 2025. There were deliberations on February 7th. During the February 26th study session, LTAC presented their recommendations for council's consideration, which included funding for all of the applicants. Council proposed a change for Quincy Square to be fully funded and remanded recommendations to LTAC for consideration and response. On March 28th, the LTAC held a meeting which included discussion and an opportunity for public comment. The outcome was that a majority of LTAC agreed with the proposed change, since this would meet the intended use of lodging tax. I think with that concludes my presentation, and I turn it over to you, Council President.
Thank you. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Jose Camacho, Friends of Smith Cove. I object to the sluicing of public monies to Sound West Group, and Quincy Square is an opportunity zone area along with Marina Square and the rigged Evergreen Point project. The city is just funneling money, admittedly under cover of law, but they are sluicing money to this private commercial interest. This is another indicia of just the overwhelming power and influence that developer and the developer cartel in the region has over city processes. It runs so deep that in ordinance 5506 and 5508, the city actually, amazingly enough, codified the elimination of due process for ordinary citizens who object to bloated projects across the street from them. It doesn't seem to have occurred to anyone in the council. That's what you did, or you're hiding it, but that's what you did. Constitutional law. Mockler was the only one to object, and it wasn't exactly a roaring lion. So there is something deeply wrong with the city's absolute servility to that developer. You know, those partners may be the greatest thing since, sliced cheese, but they're just human and they're profit driven. And this servility has resulted in a warping of actual law. Presentations are given which depend on omission and misrepresentation. It goes back years.
Owski. Go ahead, please.
Sorry. I have quite a few questions. And I know LTAC committee is independent and in the way that council doesn't have a decision-making tool whether or not to accept everything they say or nothing they say. The heads and beds, which is what LTAC money is supposed to support, the applications were just unbelievably high. I'm sorry, but a one-day event does not put 4,000 people in hotel rooms, let alone we don't have 4,000 hotel rooms in the city. I also disagree strongly that LTAC is giving a substantial amount of money for an event that isn't even taking place in city limits, it's taking place at the fairgrounds. So And I hear what Mr. Camacho says, but I don't fully, although the developers may benefit from the Quincy Square development, the taxpayers have put in a huge amount of money for Quincy Square to be developed, and I was really disappointed that there was no operational plan, and then at the last minute, city asked for $45,000 so they could develop an operational plan for something that's opening in months. So I have no choice but to vote for this, but I'm really disappointed in the way the LTAC committee, the whole process has been going.